In celebration of this year's Juneteenth, I brought provisions to pour libations for our ancestors who have walked this land, who have shed their blood on this land. As a healing justice advocate, as a conjure woman, I'm interested in examining the intercultural, intergenerational traumas that came out of slavery, that came out of that period in our country where Black people were denied our most basic rights, were denied our humanity. I'm interested in healing the ruptures. I'm interested in healing the psychic wounding. So it is important to me to pay homage, and Juneteenth is an opportunity to do that collectively.
Juneteenth, back when I was younger, meant celebration, celebration about the end of slavery. Makes me think of festivals in Richmond, California, Berkeley, California, San Francisco, California. Always look forward to it in June. But as I got older, I learned more about what it meant, and it was a sobering celebration. To me, it's an acknowledgement of slavery in this country, and also the fact that there was freedom delayed for those. And it really should help us reflect on how freedom is delayed currently for people still in this country. And so I think that there's a through line from Juneteenth that we can reflect on about perseverance within a culture.
Juneteenth for me is a time where I really reflect about our imperfect democracy and the kind of the distance between words and action. So the difference between the Emancipation Proclamation and actually the freedom of our people. But you know, the first thing I do think about is it's really a day of freedom. It's a day of, you know, the end of slavery, where Black people recognized the end of slavery.
Juneteenth is an opportunity to create safe space for all of us to examine this legacy of duplicity, this legacy of bamboozling Black people, this legacy of horrific violence.
My biggest thing is being able to sit down, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, or just if you even meditate, but just kind of just taking that moment and really thinking about those people who were notified that slavery is over. Like, what does that mean? And what does it mean for slavery to be over? What does that mean for how you view America today? I think, again, Juneteenth shows another aspect of history, and it just reminds us that our history is not compartmentalized.
Juneteenth is important to celebrate because it recognizes Black Americans as being part of this country. So when the 4th of July happened, there were slaves, and so the 4th of July is not a day of freedom for everyone. Lands were being taken away from Native Americans. Women could not vote. Blacks were held in enslavement. So a number of things. So it's a day that really marks the end of slavery. It's an important day for that reason for me. So it's a day of celebration.
Being able to sit with it, having the ability to really engage with empathy and understand how this narrative, this Juneteenth narrative, adds to the American narrative, it's not something we should run away from. Something that we should actually encompass, embrace, and celebrate the resiliency of a people who historically has been disenfranchised.
My grandparents are from Crockett, Texas, which is only about 2 hours from Houston, 3 hours from Galveston. So it's very personal to me to be able to have ancestors that were sharecroppers to being a dean of admissions. Is very personal, but it doesn't stop with just me in this seat. And so I think what we should think about going forward is how we make sure that people are engaged within the ballot box, how people are engaged with widening access to education, which is a direct through line to our Lasallian tradition. You know, we have a long, proud tradition and history of Black Gales. And for me, it's important that we not just worry about it thriving in the past, but thriving in the present and well into the future.